we'll be talking about integrity in sport today, but I'll just share one or two slides, and then later on I'll share my presentation with Mark, and then Mark can share with everybody. Yeah, because I've got a story that talks about what I'm going to present. Um, Me being a former athlete, but I still regard myself as an athlete because I'm coaching a Premier League team here in my country, Zambia. So I'm still an athlete. In as much as I'm a coach, I'm still an athlete. So I'm going to share the story that I went through and to be where I am today. But before I get into that, I would like uh, uh, to share one slide, and then the participants kindly use the chat room from the slide that I'll be sharing just in a minute. Are you able to see this slide?
Yes, thank you, Mweetwa. Carry on.
Okay. So, Mark, kindly, you'll be reading out the answers that the participants are going to write in
Yeah,
the chat room.
sure.
Yeah, for me, just 3 minutes. What the participants think about these questions. So the first one is it waste to steal 100 rands? It's always been in my currency as in kwacha, but now to put it in rands. So is it waste to steal 100 rands or $100? So yes, no, or not sure. So you just the first question you write one, and then you put yes or no or not sure. So then Mark, you tell me the majority.
So, question there. So, do you feel that it is worse to steal 100 rand or $100, or not sure? People responded, Mweetwa, that have said it's the same. Stealing 100 rand, $100 is the same.
Okay. So and then the second question is, would you ever steal money, even from your mother's pays or from your wife, if you're married, or from your wife's pays, or just anywhere?
Okay, so yeah, the general consensus here coming through, Mweetwa, is no. That people are saying no, that they wouldn't steal.
Okay, and the third question is, have you ever used stationery from your office for private use?
Okay, have you
This one is
ever
a quick.
used stationery from your office for private use, guys? Answer to that question, yes, no, or not sure. The general answer for that one is people are saying no. Actually, there's a lot of yeses coming through on this one now.
Yeah,
A lot of
because
people saying yes.
even plain paper, a plain paper, it's office stationery, but if you get it for private use. Oh, let's go to the fourth one. Would you take money from a player to secure him or her playtime?
So, as coaches, if a player wanted to get onto the field and they were prepared to pay you to get onto that field from them to secure a game time for them.
Yeah, just to secure, like a player
Okay, so there's a good
pays you to
no.
play. So the
Yeah, so people are
the
saying
general
no.
answer is no.
Yeah, the general consensus is no. Waiter.
Okay. Okay, and then the last one is, you have eaten a three-course meal at a restaurant and noticed that the waiter has made a mistake on the bill, only charging you for the starters. Would you let him or her know?
Okay, guys, so the last one, you've eaten a three-course meal at the restaurant. The waiter makes a mistake and he only charges you for starters. Are you going to tell him, or is it your lucky day? So tell me if are you going to tell him, yes or no? Okay, a lot of the answers coming through now, Mweetwa. People are saying yes, they would inform the waiter.
Mm. Okay. No, good to know.
Someone is saying no. Um, although the person said no, although he does know that he should say yes, but he probably wouldn't tell the waiter.
Uh, okay, that's a good one. My story is that I rose through the ranks from childhood up to the time I played for my national team. Uh, my national team here, Chipolopolo. I've played against South Africa before. I've been in South Africa so many times for the COSAFA games and these other games. And thankfully, thanks to God, I went to play in Europe. I played for a team called Drops in Finland. But while I was there, um, I got I got I got a call from this agent, a football agent, who showed me all his credentials, his papers that he was licensed by FIFA. And then, uh, so by that time, I was having issues with my agent. So I decided, okay, no, it's okay. What are you offering? Then he said, no, I just like the way you play. So I'd love to be giving you sums of money. So he started giving me. Uh, so he started giving me sums like 10,000 euros just to go and buy coffee. 15,000 euros every game, like every weekend. He started going like that. So for 1.5 years, I was receiving one monies like that. Almost 2 years actually. So I was receiving monies. 10,000, 50,000 euros, and you can imagine 10,000 euros how it is in your local currency in rands, and what you could do with it as an African. So I received such amounts for 2 years, almost 2 years, and then afterwards he asked me to not to score. He asked me not to score in one particular game, and I had trusted this individual. For imagine a relationship where almost 2 years you are ever seeing this guy. He's giving you money, and he's saying, "I love the way you play. I want to make business." And me as an African, I want an agent who can do that for me. So I was receiving monies, and then when he asked me not to score, it was easy for me because I trusted this guy. Where in a relationship, when you want to marry a woman, you start building that relationship, you get engaged, and then is asked. After that, after that, that's when I started fixing matches. I never knew that it was fixing matches that I was getting myself into, but it was actually fixing matches eventually. So the sad part is that after some years, because I fixed matches for 5 years. So in that period, when I started realizing that I think this was not right, he started threatening me, threatened my family. He started showing me videos of other players whom they had uh, broken leg, had to break their legs, had to beat their wives, had to. Uh, I remember one incident where he was showing me a moving train. They had to throw a lady from a moving train, a girlfriend to a player who refused to fix the match. So I got arrested. I was given 1 year, 8 months, suspended sentence. Then I was also banned by FIFA for 2 years. So I was saying I got arrested for fixing matches, and then I was sentenced to 1 year, 8 months. 1 year, 8 months, which I eventually appealed, but it was reduced to 1 year, 4 months. Then FIFA banned me globally for 2 years. I couldn't play anywhere for 2 years. Then I said my time. Uganda, then went to play also in Botswana, and I retired from playing football. When I came back from my ban, I was seeing the athletes going through the same things I went through while I was growing up and playing this sport. So I just decided to call it quits. Then I said that if I needed to protect my own kids, because I've got three kids, two boys and a girl, and them being my children, I'm sure they've got blood that flows through their veins that is sporty, and one day they would want to play sport. So I said that I've got to safeguard my own kids. But how am I going to safeguard my own kids? I needed to come up with something that is going to protect them throughout their sporting life. So that's when I decided to come out clean, to start telling my story to people that no, you know what, I fixed matches, and this is what happened to me. But my question that used to go through my head was, why didn't I uh, why I did not refuse when I was approached by this agent, why I did not refuse, and why I did not recognize that what what was going to happen is this at the end. Then I had to start looking back at my track record. Then I remembered that when I was in grade 8, from primary level, I went to grade 8, that is junior high. My school sports masters at primary level, they asked me to go and participate at junior level or at primary level from junior high school. So I went to participate there, and I made them to win at primary level. Then when I continued my school, I reached in grade 11. I was a minor here, so they couldn't register me as a professional footballer. But my club that I went to, they gave me a fake ID. I started using another person's ID just to participate in the professional league. So I was looking at all that, and then I was also given um, national registration cards, like the age cheating, that we call it age cheating. So my age also was changed. So then I looked at this track record. Then I came to a conclusion that what was happening to me when I was growing up is that they were corrupting my mind. So when your mind is corrupted, you cannot see and recognize that what's going to happen is this at the end. So, Mark, are we okay?
Yeah, 100% fine. Carry on. And
Okay.
it's coming through nicely, so you
Oh,
can carry on.
all right. So I when I looked at my track record when I was growing up, and then I continued seeing that when I came back from the ban, I started seeing the same things over and over from the athletes, from the coaches asking players to pay them to secure their spot in the team. Coaches going to tournaments with the athletes. Others they would sleep with athletes, be it male or female, just in order to secure their place on the team, on the traveling contingent. So I saw that, and then I was like, no, I don't want to see my own child go through what I went through. Because when I was banned for 2 years, I tried to commit suicide. I remember I shared with you, Mark, with your wife that time, and then you were like, uh, I saw your eyes the way when I told you that I tried to commit suicide. I almost ended my life because it was so painful. Because what I knew all my life was to play football. All the money that I was making was through football. Then this football was taken away from me because of my misjudgment. Then I was like, my life is finished. When I came back home, I would pass through the streets. people knew me because I played for the national team. They would throw stones at me. Oh, there's the thief. Look at him. Look what he did to our country. Because I dented the image of the country. I dented the image of my family, including Africa. Because when I was in Finland, and then all this was happening, they were saying Africans, this is what Africans they've done. And this guy who messed my life up was wanted by FIFA for over 20 years, and then he was eventually arrested. So when they did that, it was more like a breakthrough, and my case was so special because it was on BBC, on Al Jazeera, and CNN for a month. Every day they were broadcasting it. You can Google my name, and you'll find everything. It's there. Even on YouTube, there are some videos that they show about our case with the others. So I decided that if we can have integrity in sport, then we have integrity everywhere. So it starts from sport because everyone is affected by sport. Everyone takes sport, others as a healthy lifestyle, others as entertainment, and others as employment. So everyone is affected by sport. Everyone is a participant when we are talking about sport. And I remember the late Nelson Mandela said, "Sport can sport has got the power to rule the whole world or to change the whole world." That's what Nelson Mandela says. And then I said, if all these big people would say that sport has got this power, why can't I also use my experience to change what others think about sport, what others think about integrity that is supposed to be in sport? And when Mark, you asked me to do a presentation here today, I said, I'm available at any time. I'm not well. I'm not well. I've got influenza, which is common here now. But I decided that I was going to share my story to the participants here that we have to safeguard sport. The athlete that can be arrested today or that can be banned today because of him or her being involved in corruption in sport might try to commit suicide, and he or she might not be lucky as I am that I'm still alive today. He or she can die. So we just have to protect this sport because corruption, match fixing, uh, it removes the credibility of a tournament or a match uh, because when you start knowing that this match has been fixed, so the entertainment, the joy about it is taken away from the sport. And the Guardian, when you're talking about abuse, harassment, so when you start knowing that this kid has been abused, this child has been harassed, most of the parents, I'm sure they wouldn't want their kids to go and participate in sport. So it is the same with the corruption, the match fixing side. It is the same. Where once you know that people are using sport to gamble, to bet, they get these monies to themselves. When you know that this game has been fixed, I'm sure no one would want to take their child, or no one would want to participate in that sport. So I am here telling or appealing to the participants that let's try to avoid abuse, harassment, or any form of corruption in sport. For sport is something that can give you a healthy life. It can give you entertainment, joy. It can also give you monies at the end of the day. So integrity in sport is integrity everywhere. Thank you, Mark, and thank you for listening, everyone.
Thank you for your bravery, and thank you for your time tonight, and thank you for everything that you've shared with us. I think it's important, guys, as DSOs, that we realize that these risks are 100% a part of the sports that we engage in. Yes, one can argue that soccer is arguably one of the wealthiest sports on the planet, and is there a possibility that this would happen in sports that I suppose have less money? But I think you've got to bear in mind that it isn't about the sport. It isn't about the earning potential of the athlete. It is about the corruption that comes as a result of the gambling, and really the amount of money that the athlete earns in the sport really doesn't come into the equation when we're talking about gambling, because I can put R1 million on whether or not an athlete like Mweetwa will score an own goal or not score a goal, much like I could put R1 million on a table tennis game or a squash match or any other sport. It's all irrelevant. And I think one of the biggest things for us to bear in mind is that as we put up our hands to be the DSO, as we put up our hands to say that the athletes under our charge are going to be safe because we are there, then the first thing we have to do is be able to identify where the risks may come from. And Mweetwa is somebody who has seen a side of sport, a dark side of sport, a terrible place in sport where people do get hurt, people are killed, people are thrown off the trains, people's families are destroyed, people's children are hurt, because when we allow money into the outcome of the sport, the integrity of the sport, the purity of the sport is so significantly jeopardized. And yes, we don't want the sport to be jeopardized, but more than not wanting the sport to be jeopardized, we want to make sure that those who are under our charge are safe. So before we kind of draw a line in the sand, and you guys have heard Mweetwa's story, he is somebody that has spoken on this topic. He's worked in this space for a long time. I'd like to just kind of open up and find out if anybody has any questions or any comments for that matter that he might be able to answer. Mweetwa, I'd like to ask you a question. So if there was a time when this all started that you could kind of drill back and go, I wish that I hadn't made that decision. Like, I get that there were a whole lot of decisions along the way that in hindsight you regret. But was there a turning point? Was there a space where you went, if I think back now, that was the place where things turned the most significantly for me?
Yeah, I can say the first time I was asked to go and participate in the primary level competition, I think that was the turning point. And if God would allow me to go back or change the hands of time, I would really go to that particular time and say, no, I'm not going to participate in the primary level competition because I've passed that level. I'm now at high school.
Okay, so it was at the stage right in the beginning where the coach, even at that point, was trying to get you to compete in a place where it just wasn't right. We were allowing someone to compete that was older than he should have been, and right there in the very beginning, that lack of integrity, in your opinion, almost set a road out that caused you to kind of move down this road slowly, where at the end of it, your family was at risk. You were at risk. You placed the people that you care the most about at risk.
Yeah, and you can imagine, my family is at home, only to be called by someone on the phone that your son is on the news, and then my family, my parents, they get to see that, oh, there is our son on the news for the wrong reasons. They were used to seeing me on TV for the right reasons, scoring goals, or being called to the national team in the newspapers. And then this time around, they are seeing me in court, being arrested. It was bad. And then just seeing this mafia, it's a mafia thing, uh, threatening me by using a photo of my family. Then you are wondering, we're in Europe, how did they get this photo? But back then, 2007, 8, it wasn't so much like it is on social media. People were not sending photos on social media like it is now. So I was like, how did they get this? So it's everywhere, and I put my family at risk, and I wouldn't wish for anybody actually to go through the road I went through, their families to go through what my family went through.
Okay, thank you. There is a question for you, Mweetwa, that's come through in the chat. It says, how are we, so your opinion, how would you give, what advice would you give to enable DSOs to protect the athletes when betting organizations who now sponsor athletes and sponsor promotions, are they not in a catch-22 situation? Because both the clubs, the athletes, they all need the money. And now we've got a massive, big gambling organization coming saying, we will sponsor. What would be your advice to a DSO asking you that question?
Yeah, it's this question has been coming up over and over. And when you go to the Believe in Sport Ambassador Network by the IOC, there's a toolkit there that talks about uh, these betting companies to sponsor. We all know the betting companies have got a lot of money. They've got lots of money, and they are sponsoring clubs. They are sponsoring competitions. We can't run away from it. But last week, I was at a conference where I said the betting companies are not a problem. They're a business that have come also to make money, just like any other business. But we have to regulate. We have to legislate as well. We have to make sure that athletes are not supposed to bet on their sport. So if, for example, if you're a footballer, you're not supposed to bet on football. If you're a cricketer, you're not supposed to bet on cricket. But when you go to these Olympic tournaments, you are not allowed to bet on any sport. So the catch 22, yes, we are on the catch 22, and we can't run away from this. It's a fact that betting companies have got money, but what we ought to do is we try by all means to regulate. So we speak to the law enforcers that the betting companies and the law they start working together, that there is legislation and there is regulation. In my country, as we speak right now, you can't walk 10 meters without seeing betting booth. Everywhere there's betting now. The booths are everywhere. And sadly, little kids now, maybe fourth grade, fifth grade, they are shunning going to school. They go to betting and they're allowed to bet. You'll find kids at school, they've got tickets of matches, they've bet. So we just have to protect uh, these kids by regulating. I hope I answered Jason Brown.
Yeah, I see. It's a tough question. It is a tough question
Yeah.
because, yeah, that regulate in South Africa, you do have to be 18 if you're going to if you're going to place a bet. That's the law. Whether the law is always policed or not is another conversation. But the law is at 18. But I think, guys, we've spoken about this whole, even in the safeguarding space. One of the things that we've chatted about is, as a designated safeguarding officer, one of the things or one of the benefits is that you are not someone who is conflict adverse. And so we need to talk about this. We need to call people out when we see things that are happening that are inappropriate. Everything from, you know, competing at the wrong age group through to however you may cheat within your sport. And we all know what that means. In some sports, it's a weight category. In other sports, it's an age. Whatever it means in your sport, where possible, put as much in place to ensure that those that do want to cheat and do want to undermine the integrity of the sport can be pulled out by virtue of the process and the proactive that we put in place. There's a comment, Mweetwa. Thank you for sharing your story and your experience with regards to this topic. The information is much appreciated.